Welcome to Ultimate Sports Parent Video, where we help parents and coaches instill confidence and success in young athletes.
This is Lisa Cohn from Ultimate Sports Parent. Today I'm here with Bruce Kracke. He's a former youth coach and a Positive Coaching Alliance trainer. Our topic, how to help kids deal with mistakes. Hi Bruce.
Hi Lisa.
Now give me a little bit of background.
Been around sports my whole life as an athlete and later on as a coach. I'm currently a sport parent where my young son's playing t-ball and also taekwondo. I've been a trainer for PCA since 2002, and I've done workshops in about 15 or 16 different states and also up in Canada. I was a collegiate athlete, played soccer and lacrosse in college. A lot of the work I've done has been for chapters of U.S. lacrosse around the country.
Now, does your son play lacrosse? Did you say? Oh no, he plays baseball and
softball.
softball.
He's been through the Eastside Portland Lacrosse Clinic, which is 4 Saturdays, and he enjoyed it. But he's 6, so at his age, I think we'll let him grow to love the sport recreationally before he gets involved in organized stuff again.
I think that makes sense. So now tell me a little bit about helping kids deal with mistakes. What's the problem?
Well, I think a lot of the times what we're up against in the major culture, what people bring with them to the youth sporting experience is what we see on TV. Mm-hmm. If a mistake is made, obviously on television, you're watching professional sports, the crowd gets all over the player. The coach probably is, if not attacking the player verbally, is giving nonverbal signals which are disapproving. It can be very draining on the athlete's emotional tank. If people aren't conditioned to try to deal with mistakes, because we know young athletes are going to make mistakes. It's not if they make a mistake, it's how they respond to it. Do they hang their head and miss the very next play? Or do they acknowledge a mistake has been made and bounce back and get ready for the next play with renewed vigor and determination?
Now, I'm curious, in your experience, are there certain kids who have a harder time with mistakes, certain personalities?
Well, I think every child on some level has trouble with mistakes. So that having a conversation with my own son yesterday and playing soccer here, I accidentally scored a few goals on him, and he got the feeling that he was a bad sport because he let those goals in. Obviously, that's a conversation for us to have about why do you think you're a bad sport. I think one of the powers of the teaching that we do is asking more questions of a young child and following their emotional schedule. And one of the things that we teach, and I really struggled with yesterday, is resisting the urge to fix their problem in the moment. So let him talk about it when he's ready, and then ask more questions than give directives, I think is the most empathetic and productive approach to that.
Oh, now that's interesting. So you don't want to fix their problem in the moment, even if they made a mistake. You just want to let them let go of the mistake.
Well, there's a caveat in what we teach about that if there's something egregious or safety's in jeopardy, or if a practice is being severely disrupted, obviously it's not the time to ask permission to correct something. But if it's something that's merely a suggestion, by asking permission to talk to a child about something, it changes the dynamics and puts them in a position of power and investment in the relationship there. It changes the dynamic.
Yeah, it's really different. So you might go up to a kid and say, hey, can I ask you something?
Exactly. With my son, invariably, like yesterday, I was trying to teach him to use his left foot more, and I said, hey, I've got some ideas. Do you want to hear them? And he said, no, and I had to honor that. But almost invariably with him, a little while later, he'll say, Papa, what did you want to tell me? And I'll say, no, don't worry about it. It wasn't a big deal. And then he'll be very interested in whatever it was I had to say. Now we've changed the tables. He's interested in learning the information and comes to me at a time when he's emotionally ready to take it in.
So now let's talk about, so I asked you what kind of personalities have a hard time with mistakes, and we call them perfectionists. We see, and they're often really good athletes who work real hard, but they have a hard time with mistakes because they're perfectionists. So I was just curious if that was the word that you might pull out of the air, or.
Well, it's an interesting topic that you bring to mind because there's a lot of pushback oftentimes when we talk about, some of our themes, mistakes are okay. It's how you respond to them, and a lot of coaches bristle when you say that. John Wooden, who just passed away recently, had a quote in his book, They Call Me Coach. He said, the team that makes the most mistakes will probably win. The doer makes mistakes, and I wanted doers on my team, players who made things happen. Now here's a guy that knows something about winning. I think he won 7 straight titles and 10 overall at the highest level of collegiate athletics, and yet he knew that athletes that made mistakes were playing without fear and without anxiety and were apt to try to make something happen. They had more power within themselves. They weren't worried about what the repercussions of making a mistake on them.
To watch the rest of this video, visit kidsportspsychology.com.